Hey guys, I'm Andrew and welcome to my new show, Let's Jam About. So Let's Jam About is basically a show where I pick a topic revolving around a game and focus on that topic and just jam about it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Instead of doing reviews and assigning thing numbers, I want to do more of a free-form, unscripted thing, and that's what this is new channel about. If you've come over from my Bitbolt channel, thank you for following me over here, and this is what my focus is going to be. So guys, let's jam about Devil May Cry 4, specifically Nero. So Nero from Devil May Cry 4, he's introduced as this young hotshot knight who works for the Order of the Sword, and you know, he's not a great character. His weaknesses don't come from the fact that he's not cool. His weaknesses come from the fact he's almost a carbon copy of his uncle Dante. So Dante and Nero, if you put them side by side, they both have the same length hair, they both have the same style of dress, and they both carry similar weapons as an oversized sword and oversized pistols. Now, here's the thing, Nero's personality is almost identical to that of the Dante we see in the younger games, so if I'm being real, it just makes me go, why would I want to play as a more inexperienced, crappier Dante when we've got the real deal right there? I mean, you fight him at the start of the game and it's obvious Dante's holding back, just testing the kid. And I know it's always fun to build up a new protagonist and Dante is almost legendary at this point, but you know, it's like the whole, why would I want to play as Raiden when I've got Solid Snake in Metal Gear 2? And I do understand that was kind of the point of that game, but still, you've always got that part going, I want to play as Snake. Now, when they jack Raiden up and make him a cyborg, able to throw Metal Gears and cut things in half, that's when I'm like, okay, I don't mind playing as Raiden now. That being said, when we first received Nero on Devil May Cry 4, he has a giant problem. He is a boring carbon copy of his crazy uncle Dante. And you know, he might have worked if Dante wasn't in the game, but it wouldn't be a Devil May Cry game without his uncle in it. So the entire game, he's just kind of stuck in Dante's shadow. Now, don't get me wrong, from a gameplay perspective, Nero is brilliant. The Devil Bringer arm gives rookies a really great way to get into the series. It's fun watching his grab wrestling moves. Like, it got to a point where they're like, fuck it, just give him wrestling moves. So from a gameplay standpoint, Nero's revving sword, his Devil Buster, the revolver you can charge, it's all quite fun, but from a character in lore perspective, he's not really any good at all. I hated Nero for the longest time. I legitimately just saw him as a whingy, wussy version of Dante. Now, the biggest problem with Nero's character is he's a carbon copy of Dante, and we actually don't learn anything about his story. When the game opens up on Nero, all we really learn is he's a knight and he's got some affection for the girl singing at the start of the game we end up finding on his Kyrie. Now, they're dating and Nero has this hidden arm that he can't really show anyone because he's working for a cult that want to eradicate demons, so he can't let them catch on. He's got a demonic arm. Now, here's the thing. We don't learn anything about Nero's backstory. We don't learn how his demonic arm manifested. We don't learn how he was trained. We don't know anything about his backstory. There is a tie-in novel, but let's face it, if you're gonna do a game, the novels and all the expanded stuff is just to kind of build on that. Literally, if you take Devil May Cry 4 as a whole, not only has it got that problem where you play through Nero's levels backwards as Dante, which is a major pain in the butt. It's obvious Dante was supposed to have his own bosses in that game, but money, time constraints, maybe Capcom was having a stroke, I don't know, but let's be real. Nero needs his own sense of individuality, and you know, if he was meant to be the, you know, part Dante passing the torch onto a younger generation, it didn't really work because all Dante did was clean up Nero's mess throughout the whole game, kill the demons, he lets get away, and then it gets to the point where the cult's like, we are going to absorb Dante into this statue and become all powerful. Then the Pope sees what Dante does to all his men and he's like, you know what, we're not gonna get Dante in this thing, let's just settle for Nero. Nero seems to have something to do with Dante's bloodline, and I just find that funny. The hero of this game ends up getting outclassed by, you know, the actual protagonist of the series. I mean, I'm an unapologetic Dante fanboy. I love the character. His cocky, cool, laid-back attitude is one of my favorite things. I basically dress up, every time I go to Comic-Con, I dress up as him every year. My jacket's getting a bit torn, so I'm either gonna have to get a new one, update for the Devil May Cry 5 cosplay, or I'm gonna have to go as a new character. I've been hoping to talk my missus into doing a couple's cosplay. Comment down below if you think she should. Maybe I can get her to change her mind. So, back to Nero. So, I've already talked about Nero's problems. They don't flesh out his backstory. He's not really that interesting from anything other than a gameplay perspective. Now, Devil May Cry 5 comes along, and they give him a lot of changes. They give him a different haircut. He's got a significantly different jacket style. He gets his Devil Bringer ripped off for these cool robotic arms called the Devil Breakers. Now that Nero is part cyborg, he is like a badass, and he has all these different moves that Dante doesn't have access to. His personality has significantly changed. Now, what I like about this is, in Devil May Cry 5, I've played the demo, amazing, and I've watched a lot of the trailers. What seems to be happening is Dante and Nero seem to have switched places. Nero seems to be the new Dante, Dante, and Dante seems to be the new Sparta. Dante seems to be enjoying this legendary icon status. In the trailer, when Nico rocks up to him, she's like, oh my, and she's kind of getting the vapors, a little bit of the Southern Belle, and she's like, you must be the legendary Dante. And Dante's all kind of like, yeah, that's me.
Whoa, you are the infamous Dante. My grandmother is Nell Goldstein, the gunsmith that made all your fancy weapons.
He's saved Earth so many times at this point that, you know, he's just kind of iconic. He's almost basically surpassed his father at this point. And now, while Nero is still in his shadow, I feel like now that he's grown up, changed his look, he's got this new cyborg arm, I feel like he's a lot more of his own character now. Now, while I understand he's kind of taken up Dante's role, because Dante didn't really have a new role in Devil May Cry 4, unless you want to go mentor, which he didn't really teach Nero a whole lot, other than stay cool when you're fighting, because getting rage doesn't really lead anywhere. So anyway, Dante and his nephew I now see as equals. They're both really cool characters, and 4 kind of just took it in the wrong direction, but 5, they're really correcting this. At the start of the game, Virgil shows up and cuts Nero's arm off, and he has to go about getting it replaced with these cool cyborg arms. He can fly around on it like a rocket. He can do giant discharge waves of electricity. Nero is a certified badass, and I actually like playing as him now. It's just a shame his introduction in Devil May Cry 4, he's just a watered down replica of the protagonist we already have. But in that game, Nero came across as a little bit of emotionally unstable, or a bit of a wuss, because all he does in that game is run around making threats and screaming about his girlfriend. And you compare that with Dante from Devil May Cry 3 when he was 18, and he's got all of his shit under control. You know, his brother who was better, faster, stronger, smarter than him in every way. Dante's still keeping his cool and keeping his shit together while fighting someone who's actually superior to him in combat at that moment in time. Nero fights Dante, and he just kind of gets worked up, screams about his girlfriend. Now, it was interesting seeing, you know, the chase after a girl plot in DMC4, but let's face it, Kyrie doesn't really have a personality, and what personality Nero did have in that, he was renting from his uncle. But in this new one, he seems fun, he seems fresh, he seems like his own character. Dante's always been that cool rock star kind of surfer thing, and Nero's gone from like a more punk aesthetic. A lot of people are whinging that Nero has short hair in this one, but the more they can do to differentiate him from Dante, the happier I'll be. He seems to actually be borrowing a lot of elements from the rebooted Devil May Cry, the one with the black hair, and you know what? I think that actually fits. I didn't mind rebooted Dante because it wasn't set in the same universe as the classic games. He's kind of a whole new character, a whole new take on the thing, and that's really what they should have done with Nero in the first place. And obviously Nero needs to have the white hair because he's part of Sparta's lineage, but now with the cyborg arm, the new revamped wardrobe, the fact his personality is more defined and coming to his own, and Dante has actually brought him into the family business, I can respect him as a character now. I really like what they've done with the character. Guys, go download the demo if you can. It's a whole lot of fun. But yeah, that's kind of the first episode of Let's Jam About. Nero, he's just a lot of fun now. And that's an example of how you can take an idea that you started with and wasn't great and really polish it up. Devil May Cry 4 is an amazing combat simulator. Story overall, parts of it seem like a really weak fan fiction, but it's still a fun game to play. 5 hopefully will flesh out Nero's backstory. It'll connect them all. Dante will find out that Nero's family, maybe Virgil will pop up and they'll have a father, son, and uncle moment. And yeah, so go check out the game. Seriously, the new Devil Breakers are fucking insane. There's one where you can just shoot your arm off and rocket punch people and then jump on it and ride it around the room like in that cutscene in DMC3. The fact that they made that playable is awesome. Dante's gameplay with the crazy like capoeira punching gloves and the motorbike he can rip into 2 separate chainsaw blades is fucking insane. That's all for the first episode of Let's Jam About. If you liked it, let me know. If there's any topics you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. And yeah, anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. That's all. This is Andrew out.
Dante, I'm gonna go too.